Hello everyone, good day, good sunny day if you have sun today. I have sun here, it's very pleasant. Welcome back to the stream. Today we are going to work on two different projects. One that is nearly complete, and so we are just putting some polish to make it look nicer. And the issue is described here in this PR 64128. We're looking at making the size of debug zip files that are retrieved for debugging CockroachDB clusters smaller, so that they are more convenient to work with. The PR to make this size smaller is already issued, it's already commented on, it's already approved. There is just one last bit of suggestion to make it better, which is to make a notice on the screen to the user when the size exceeds some threshold, to invite them to use the new parameters that have been introduced in this PR. So that will not take us very long, hopefully. I will try to not make it long, hopefully. And then once we are done with this project, we'll go to this other project. This is a more exploratory project where we are going to look at how CockroachDB is gathering telemetry data to send back to Cockroach Labs in the background and try to change the mechanism by which it is doing so. Today, the mechanism is using a task that sends the payload using HTTP, an HTTP request to a endpoint that Cockroach Labs controls, and a person in this team called Vela has proposed to use logging, which is a project we worked on this channel in the past, to send the telemetry events. So instead of being sent only to HTTP servers, it would be sent as a logging event. And then later we could then redirect that event to multiple places depending on how we want to consume the telemetry data. And to not make it just a telemetry, like a protocol change, we also have a particular application to solve, which is to make the time to first query observable in telemetry. And so there is this PR from maybe a week or two ago that is making a suggestion on how to do that using the old mechanism. And then maybe if we make something that works for this with a new mechanism, we can try to make a proof of concept with that new project. So we'll see how far we get with this. And I'm starting today without a pot of tea because I have forgotten to prepare one. So it's also possible that at the end of our very first project, which is a small task, we will have a small break so that I can go and get a refill of water or something similar. We'll see. Cool. All right. So this is a PR that we are looking at. It is changing the behavior of CockroachZip in order to retrieve less files, fewer files in general. And what the reviewers have suggested is, on top of limiting the amount of data that is retrieved, also put a message displayed during the processing to indicate how much data was retrieved so far. And if that data is larger than some threshold, invite the user to use some flags to change the behavior and make the data smaller, or at least to inform the users that they have this control. So what we're going to do is to add these messages. So how are we going to do this? All right, so we have a branch. Where's this? And we're looking here at this logic in this file, in this directory here. So the zip logic is, in a nutshell, it is connecting to a node in the CockroachDB cluster, and then using that node as a gateway to retrieve data from all the other nodes and the one that is connected to. Debugging data, like troubleshooting data of different kinds. And that includes a number of files. And those files are like log files or other troubleshooting data, and those files can get large. And because there are many files and these files are large, that means that the total amount of data retrieved can become large as well. And so the recommendation was, since this tool is potentially retrieving a lot of data, let's indicate to the user as the data gets retrieved that we might invite them to use some flags or some other interface to retrieve less data, because having too much data is not desirable. And so if we go back to the review and look at the suggestion, we can see the first suggestion was, it would be nice to provide some warning or hint to the users that leads them to this option if they run zip and end up creating an archive over some threshold. All right. So we are going to add some hint or warning to the user when the threshold is reached. So how we are going to do this? I have suggested the following logic here in this code. So we are going to create an interface object between the file on disk, which is the data that is produced by this command, and the data retrieved from the server. So like logically, the data is pulled from the server and then written to disk. And the way it works is that we have a output file generated in the main program here, somewhere here, like the output file is created, and then it is used as input to a zipper interface, which is then able to create some content inside the zip archive. So this zipper interface is originally writing directly to the output file. And so what I'm suggesting to do in here is to introduce a new object in between that takes the output file as output and that produces a new Go writer object that is then passed as an output to the zipper. And so it is really interfacing itself in between the zipping process and the writing on disk. And so what we do here is to create, to use the Go interface called write closer, which is something that can be written bytes to, or that can be closed. What we are doing here is that we're going to accept the file as an argument, like here. The file comes here, from here. Then a threshold, which is at which amount of output data are we going to start reporting that the file is large, and then a function to call when that threshold is reached, and then periodically thereafter, every time a multiple of the threshold is crossed again. And the function we're going to pass here is a function that prints out a message with some information about the size of the output file so far and some indication of which parameters to use. So the message is not complete here. We need to complete this, and then we need to actually test this, which is not tested yet. So today's the deal is to first try out this basic implementation, see if it behaves, then add a unit test for this logic here because it's currently not tested, and then if the unit test passes, subsequently work on the particular message that is being printed so that we have something that is a bit more informative. So that is the goal. All right, so our size warner is something that is implementing the IO writer interface and will call the function every time a threshold is reached. So this logic here is already implemented. So every time we increase the multiple of thresholds, we are going to call the callback function with the current size as an argument. And at the end, when the program ends, because the last part of the file might not yet have reached a multiple of the threshold, we also call it one more time if the size had exceeded the threshold. All right. So that is the general idea. This code, unfortunately, is not tested yet, and that means that we need to do this. So what would a test do? We want to ensure that, say, if we have an output thing and a writer to that output thing, so output thing I mean here io.writer, the size runner will tell us when bytes are produced to it. So it's actually a rather simple test. So we have this protocol inside CockroachDB source code to always call leak test after test. And we are going to implement a bogus writer. So something like, what can we do? Do we want an in-memory writer? Yeah, we have a buff. So buff implements io.writer. Then we are going to say new size warner buff, and then we say 100 bytes, and we'll have a function here. And we are going to make some code in this function that will prove that the callback has been called. And then we are going to write some data to it. So because bytes buffer never errors out, we can't ignore the error returned by the writer here. And so we can say so this will not warn once, warns twice, and then we close it, warns once more, because oops, I want 200 here. It's not. And then we are going to have another one. And then we're testing a boundary condition. All right, so this is a scenario we want to test. And so how do we know whether a warning did occur? Well, for this, we are going to use an array, simply. So every time the callback is called, we are going to append a value here, so we can subsequently assert. Warnings. All right. Does this require is? I don't understand why I don't get the imports added automatically to my code. It's really confusing. One day I will need to fix this in my editor. I think I need to add a go imports call somewhere. We'll see. All right. So why is this? Oh, because it doesn't implement write closer. Let's see what the IO package has to offer. Do we have a fake closer? Nop closer. I like this. Do we have a nop closer for the writer as well? We don't. Right closer. I really want to have something called a knob closer. Like we have this thing here, which is really great, but it doesn't provide this for a writer. That's kind of a bummer. Oh my gosh. Let's make our own. All right. Does that not work? Why does it say F is a knob closer? All right. And that's going to be an IO.writer. Cool. Probably by value is fine. And then again here. Cool. Let's run this. Expected. All right. Now what this is. So we don't want this. We want a int. All right. And then we are going to have this. It turns out 100. Then it warns at 200 and 300. And then it will warn again at 310. I think. And then here it warns at 100. And then it warns, didn't add anything at the last point. That is odd. Oh no, it's not odd actually. That is okay. All right. So if we had 100, it will report here at 100, 200, 310. Right. Okay. Oh yeah, 110 here. All right, what went wrong here? It says that I didn't get a warning for 210. That doesn't seem right. I don't like this. Oh, because we're crossing the threshold twice. Yes. We're good with this. Once more, just even though the threshold is crossed. Okay, I am okay with this. And then we are going to reset the array. Cool. So our size warner seems to work according to spec. This is a good situation. All right. Technically, this is really a different PR. So we might end up actually implementing this in a different commit. I actually probably need to rewind this a little bit. Filter times, where was that? Filter times. And I was doing this. All right, so yes, that seems to be all right. Cool. Cool. So we have here a new mechanism called the size warner that reports something on the threshold, and we even have a test for it. So let's create a branch for this. Then we commit this change, but not the change to the zip command yet. Then we are going to add this test, which is for the new logic. And then later we're going to connect it together. Cool. And then we are going to connect these logics that we just added to the rest of the code. And so this is how we do it. We take the file that was created, we pass it as an argument, then we pass the new result, which is the adapter, into our zipper instead of passing the file directly, which was the case before. And we are then going to configure the size warner with some values that make sense. So 10 kilobytes currently is maybe a bit small, so we are going to review that in a minute. And then we will need to add a message that makes sense. And so we are going to review that as well. Then in the other file here, we are in fact going to change the ways that the zipper is connected. Before it was taking a os.file, and now it's going to take an io.writer. That means it's not responsible for closing the file anymore. And so we are going to remove the call to close here and then add it here instead. And then that means that the test that was previously not calling close will need to call it now, and that is added here. So that's like just adapting. And so now we've connected our logic in all the places, and let's build this. And we're going to start a server. All right. All right. And then we are going to use say message CPU. So I'm reducing the CPU profile duration to 0 because otherwise the debug zip operation is going to last forever. And then Oh, I don't have a root certificate. Okay. All right. Oh yeah, and I need. Cool. And I get my warnings. Final size exceeds some size here, and then I see here's this message being written multiple times. Is that something I'm okay with? Yeah, I suppose I am. Why do I get it twice? Oh yeah, yeah, okay. We might... I don't know. This is because there are rights at the end that are stray. Well, let's be okay with this. Let's be okay with this. And so we're going to say times 24 out. File size exceeds this. And then we're going to say ta-da! All right. Yeah, I think we do want to have all this printed in one go. David is online. Does this code get to print directly to stdr instead of log because it's a CLI command? Yes, the answer to your question is yes. We are, in fact, probably eventually going to evolve this code to emit its output via a different mechanism, because we actually probably would like to embed those commands into the DB console somehow, which means that they need to write to a stream that can then be redirected to the DB console. And it's not so clear yet how we're going to achieve this, but until we do this, the architecture is that it writes directly to send it there. I hope this answers your question. And then we're going to include the name of the parameters. Included files. Excluded files. Excluded files. All right. Const, and let's name this constant here. Output file size multiple warning. This size is a size beyond which the user starts to get informational warnings on the terminal. And then we are actually going to have a conditional here, because we are not caring about printing warnings on the terminal if there is no user to see it. And we have a variable to indicate this. And that is terminal output. Off we go. So in other words, we only care to output informational messages if there is a human at the other side. Without a terminal, we are assuming no human is currently looking. All right. Let's build this again. No warning here, and that is because if I were to generate the file here, it will not be more than 10 megabytes. See, it's just like 1 megabyte. 1 megabyte we don't really care about. But I'm going to fake many files being present by creating a fake log file that has a lot of data. Go routine dump, no heap profiler. And then, oh wait. Oh yes. Files from, let's take everything since the year 2000. And now I'm looking at a lot of files. Oh, just 5 megabytes. Oh, I don't actually have that much data. That's okay. Let's fake it. Let's fake having a lot of data. And then PS is 1 megabyte, and I want to have 15 of those. And now I have 15 megabytes in the file. And now I can retrieve it. And then it's going to tell me... oh, of course, it's just 0 bytes and I'm writing to a zip file, meaning that it compresses very well. So I don't want warnings. Who? I don't want warnings if the output file is small. So here we have an extremely large file, but it has a very small size. Let's see. Let's make this not 0, but urandom. Because then we have random bytes and then it doesn't compress well. Oh. I do get 21 megabytes, but I didn't get my warning message. Maybe my computation was not right here. So what do I get if I say this is 10 megabytes and I have 20 megabytes in the output? Why didn't it work? It did not seem to work. Oh, maybe because terminal output is not being set for this command. Let's see. Where is this? Ah. We're going to use a SQL code, but in non-interactive mode, override whatever terminal-driven default may be out there. Okay, well. That is not exactly great, isn't it? Yeah. All right. So there was a warning here somewhere to indicate that we were reaching the first threshold at 10 megabytes. And I think that I'm not getting the warning now. Interesting. I don't know. Should I? Yeah, maybe. Let's not be too clever. So the reason why I think I care, I think. So we have this conditional output based on whether there is a terminal or not. But I don't know if this is a use case here, because it is more likely than not that administrators might redirect this output into DevNull, like I just did, because it's extremely verbose. And if they redirect this output because it's verbose, we probably still want them to see that message. And so what we really want is to have terminal output conditional, whether it's just standard error that's terminal or not. We're not being too clever. Let's not be too clever today. Report for more warning. Then we can use this. Cool. And then we get our warnings. It is a success. Although this feature now is a different, it's a different level to the unit test we were having earlier. So we want a separate test for this warning printing, and that is going to be a interactive test. All right. Cool. David says, do the Tickle tests require a fully built binary to execute against? Defined fully. Needs an executable program, yes, but I usually run the Cockroach short binary without the UI because it's not needed. For context, the Tickle tests are part of our acceptance testing, which only runs with a full binary because they are all of them end-to-end tests, as if the program was deployed in a production environment. That's what the acceptance testing is really for. And we don't really like to do acceptance testing on partial binaries that are not realistic. I hope this answers your question. Let's see, which directory is it used? Path logs TP. And then we're going to fake what gets run in TeamCity as a prerequisite? That is a good question. So if you want to see how this testing is run, there is a separate script, TeamCity acceptance, and what this does, it is running as a separate target inside TeamCity, and it actually runs a prepare step that is building a binary, and it's possible that this is using maybe a separate test. Oh no, it's actually making a release binary. Yes, it could probably benefit from reusing the same prepare target executable step as a prerequisite. It's actually redoing it here. Maybe this is not as efficient it could be. I don't know. And then all right. And after we do this, we rerun our commands. And then we will say that we want cool. Let's try this. Didn't seem to have printed out what we wanted. So we're going to come back to this in a second. I think it didn't really pick out our file. That's because we did not select all the files properly. Let's do this again. It did not include some. Let's do these files. See what's included. So we have our bytes here. So it is a large file and it is here, and it seems to be included. So we are okay. So it is in the list, but doesn't seem to be produced. Oh. Yes, of course. It's not a valid log file. The data is random, and the log retrieval parses the content of the log file. So if the file is not valid, it will ignore the output altogether. That's what we're seeing. All right, so we actually want to have a different file structure. We're going to use this one. All right. Yep, that does best. Cool. So that was it. I wish there was a way to ask GitHub to prepare a PR with only the last commit in a sequence. And here we're going to explain in the last comment. All right, what's going on? Back to the idea of showing a message to the user. I have implemented this logic in a PR. The reason I wonder how much useful in practice. As you recall, with this PR, the command will now narrow down the amount of data to chance. hopefully the amount data will already be limited thanks to this new default. If the user gets okay. There's this one after it passes. Yeah. Cool. Is there anything else? No. Don't. We do need to rebase this properly, I think. So let's see. So this one is already pushed properly. Now we come back to this one. And then this is okay. Then we can push this. And then let's rebase this one just to be sure. Okay. Oh, it was already done, so we see here. Cool, 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 cool. All right. So that has been sent already. That means that we should see my comment coming up here. All right. So if this passes PR, we have a review approval from one person and another from Steven. That means we will be able to merge this. And then if the reviewers are happy with this one, we'll be able to merge this. And then our debug zip command is going to have become very great. Very good. Cool. All right. So that is one project done. It took us nearly 1 hour to do some polish and testing. My gosh, this is a lot of work. Too much work. Much worse than I thought. All right. So I think we're done with this project. And that means that I'm going to let this sleep for a little while. This is okay. And that means we are able now to work on this new project, look at telemetry and explore a logging-based telemetry solution. So here's the issue number 63815. And I've also included it at the bottom of the screen here. And it's been 1 hour, so it's also time for a short break. I would like to recommend everyone to step outside of the chair, get some water, move the body a little bit, and then we will reconvene in a few minutes from now. Let's say 5 past, half past the hour, like maybe in 5 minutes, maximum 10 from now. All right, see you in a bit. All right, welcome back. This is a separate project from earlier. I recommend everyone to get water and drink during work. People who work at computers typically do not hydrate enough. So, this is a research, like an experiment we're going to make. We have this functionality inside CockroachDB somewhere. I don't exactly know. We're going to try to figure that out. That is sending out its data to a web server that Cockroach Labs controls. And there was a suggestion, an idea to redirect this data to a logging channel so that it can be sent to disk, to a network log collector, or presumably some other things later on. And we're going to try that out, see how far we get with this. Maybe we won't be able to find a complete answer today. That's okay. We'll see. So first, let's see where is this logging happening today. So let's kill some buffers because we don't need to have all the things here. All right, so let's see where the telemetry is happening. Diagnostics, it's here. I think in reporter.go. Let's see. Report usage and diagnostics. There is a reporting interval. And then there is a cluster setting. Some jitter. And we have a reporting URL. There is a report, which is a diagnostic report. Then it gets marshaled into bytes. So we get the byte representation. And then the content is posted using this reporting URL, using the xprotobuf content type. And then there is a response to verify whether the server accepts the payload. And then there's an error here. All right. So we're going to try to take the same logic that's here and send it out through logging instead of a HTTP post request. Or maybe we can do both actually with a conditional, or maybe both side by side. We'll see. So let's go to the master branch. Let's see if there are any recent changes that we should take into account. Yeah, just a little bit. And we're going to create a branch. Cool. All right, so as the thing is suggesting, we're going to create a new logging channel telemetry. Let's do this. For now, we don't have any payload. Then we'll have a new login channel here. All right, so what we just did here is define a new logging channel, and we also have defined a new telemetry event. Now we're going to verify whether our protobuf builder is going to be happy with the new definitions we have in protofiles. We'll see. Warning import. Yeah, okay. That is true. Let's temporarily disable this, and then this as well. No error. What a luxury. So it built. That is great. And now what we're going to try and do is see if I can embed the diagnostics struct we have here inside, say, events. It's tricky because I don't know whether event PB is a dependency of one of those things, and I am fearing that we are going to have a circular import. Let's try. So we will probably need to add some documentation to those things later, but let's use these builds. Yep. Semicolon here. Oh, also the other things in this file need to have some kind of JSON tag thingy. And it's going to be tricky because I think the generator for this doesn't know about this data type and it might complain. We'll see. All right, so now we need to have go. Cool, okay, so protobuf here worked, but our Json encode template doesn't know about this data type. That is not unexpected. And for this purpose, we will be willing to pay extra. All right. So here what we want, so all these logging events are not encoded using protobuf, they're encoded using JSON. That should be fine because there is a general way to encode protobuf into JSON. So we can do this in two different ways. Either we can have the report encoded as protobuf or we can encode it as JSON, but I think we want it as JSON because I believe that it's going to be much easier to consume the data if it's using JSON. And that means that we are going to be using the built-in JSON encoder. So there is a generator here that is doing the thing here. So, all right, so what does it say? Error field type is here. And then we're going to use a Golang JSON package. I think we have encoding JSON. And let's see. Oh, but I don't really want an error actually, right? We want this to be... Oh, that is tricky. That is tricky. We don't know whether that's reductible. All right, so we're going to make this. Oh my gosh, this is really a lot of information. Oh, but we know something. Like, we know something. So we're going to convert C bytes from C diagnostic report JSON representation directly into reductible bytes because they are probably fine. But we do need to escape some escape markers. Let's try this. Oh well, this is a bit what I had feared. Import cycle, not a load. So diagnostics PB apparently uses zone PB, which includes cat, which includes test PB, which includes security, which includes event PB. That seems difficult. We're going to make a trick about this. And we are going to change the data type, I think. I want this to be more clever than this. How can I do this? We're going to do what the errors package does, which is to use the any thing. Cool. Any. Cool. And then in our generator, we're going to say Google protocol like this, and then try this again. Better. All right, so we need a Json encoder now. In the Json encode, Json bytes. What is the Json bytes package? Encode string. Oh, it's 2 escape bytes. Okay. Wow. All right, let's explore what has been generated here. Oh. All right, so now we have a field that is of data type any. So any is kind of strange. It's really a way to embed a protobuf message inside another one. And we're doing this because we have a dependency cycle otherwise. And that needs to be explained, but that's okay. We're going to work with that. And then we are going to check how to use the anything types.marshal any. I don't know if that's what we want, in fact. Oh, that's complicated. Why is the diagnostic PB dependent on... What was this dependency cycle we were seeing? It's depending on zone PB. then keys. Config zone pp. And that is using... Oh, it's not using anything here. Okay, so that's not what it is doing. Zone PB. Yeah, it is what it is doing. Oh, here. Oh, subzone span. Alright, so subzones in the zone config are embedding spans. So that is actually worth a check whether we are doing this properly. Are the spans being anonymized? Yeah, it looks like they are. And they are hashed. Okay, so that is good. All right. Cool. All right, so we're going to do this slightly differently. Well, we're going. We might. Can we? I actually don't. I don't know what I'm doing. It's not exactly true. Actually, I have some ideas about what I'm doing, but I don't. There are multiple ways to do this, and so this is using a protobuf encoder. So, do we want to encode this data as protobuf? That's really the question. We probably don't want that. Let's do it the other way around. So this is not what we want. It's not Google any that we want. We want to actually have a string here. And that string we are going to handle with a special case in the JSON generator. We're not going to do it this way. We're going to do it in a different way. And that is in this case here. So and I don't remember how conditionals work in Go templates. Let's see. I want the multiple conditions together. I have an if pipeline, and I want a multiple condition. Is there such a thing as multiple equality conditions? Let's see. So there seems to be a end condition of its arguments. So I could be evaluating multiple conditions at the same time. So how does a pipeline work? Pipelines. Pipeline is possibly chain commands with multiple arguments. Arguments, function name is a name. Command is a simple value or a functional method call with arguments. Pipeline with chain. Chain pipeline. The result of each command is passed as the last argument of the following command. The output of the final command in the pipeline is the value of the pipeline. The output of the command will be either one value or two values, second of which has type error. If the second value is present and the value is non-nil. Yeah. So if I want to have a more complex condition, I don't have it here. So we're going to do it at a different place. So maybe we're going to do this. Escape markers. Bytes. This, and then we're going to say payload like this. And then we have this one we are ignoring. Then our telemetry is going to be repeated. Byte report. Is that not the right way to do it? Bytes. How do you make a byte string in protobuf? Don't we have that somewhere already? We don't seem to. Repeated bytes. Or just bytes. Bytes. Whatever. Cool. Alright. And then we are going to special cases. So we have a struct, which is going to be and then we are going to check this enum. And so that's going to be name, snake to camel, case. And the type is okay. Diagnostic report. So type was not the right way. I really would like to have diagnostic report being oh, it's not the right way. It's not field type. Okay, it's not field type. I actually need to look at something else. It's not deep. It is a current block where we are. So that's a current message. Current message. Okay. Let's try this. Yep. Cool, so that seems to compile now. And now we can go to our reporter here and do the thing. Diagnostics, create reports. All right, so if this works now, we are going to hopefully see a telemetry payload appear on the telemetry logging channel. So the telemetry logging channel today doesn't have a sync by default. If it does, we might need to disable it because those telemetry payloads are actually pretty large. And so it would be important by default not to emit them. But if it works, at least we will see how they look like. And that's some things that nobody before has seen. So let us see. If we have no parameter, where does the telemetry go? It is going in the default log file. That is good. So we are going to remove this. Starts this node. Starts a shell. Then we are going to quicken accelerate the frequency of the telemetry reports. And let's say 5 seconds. Then we remove this. And then we're going to send this telemetry payload to the standard error. Look at this. Telemetry coming out. Telemetry is coming out. Report. And I thought we were having it every 5 seconds. Doesn't look like it. Why do we not have it more? It is 5 seconds. I was expecting more. Why do I not see? Oh, I know why. I know why. It's because the periodically report diagnostics is in fact being called from a different place, I believe. Let's see. Might be claimed at 10 minutes or more. Let's see where this is called. Who? I think the code navigation is confused. Huh. So what we're looking at here is why we are not getting it more than every 5 seconds, because the configured interval is 5 seconds. Oh, maybe now we do. Oh, maybe there's this jitter going on. Oh, actually, jitter, add jitter. Add jitter. Okay, so we do get the telemetry at a faster interval. It's just not 5 seconds. I don't exactly know why. Maybe that's because the jitter is... Oh, okay, the jitter seconds is 2 minutes. All right, so it's actually... we don't get it 5 seconds. 5 seconds doesn't work because the jitter is adding a random amount of time around 2 minutes. So it's okay. All right, so what do we have here? Well, we have telemetry payloads. And check it out. It's pretty verbose, but I suppose we will be happy with this for the time being. So what do we see? Some things get redacted, which is good. The schema is empty. Oh, that's interesting. SQL stats are empty as well. Oh, SQL stats is empty. Let's see, actually, that's the SQL stats are empty. We're going to See in the next payload if the SQL stats are still empty. Do we have SQL stats? Yeah, SQL stats are still empty. That's interesting. Okay, so SQL stats and schema are empty. That is not what we had expected. It's okay. It is completely okay. It's not our problem. Marshall. Close. Done. Cool. Well, that wasn't too painful. We can get our logging, our telemetry data in logging now. It's pretty great. It is pretty great. Cool. All right. So we need to explain a little bit what is going on in this here. Cool. All right. So that seems like we get some data here. So that's great. So we are going to document a little bit what this is doing. Build reporting URL. So that instance shit is responsible for marshalling the report as a JSON blob. It presupposes that the report has been JSON. Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. All right. So that is actually a good starting point. See that it builds. We need to add those two files. This. All right. Now, report of panic. Oh, so log crash. All right, so that puts the telemetry package inside. Yeah, so we do probably want to have a default log configuration that excludes, that doesn't change, that doesn't put the telemetry events anywhere. So my reasoning here is that in the default configuration, we probably don't want to see telemetry data going to files, because it's super expensive. And so in the logic here, we are going to let the telemetry event dangling. No channel is listed by more than one sink, and every file has at least one channel. No channel listed more than one sink. Okay. All right. Create one for every remaining channel without a sink. Add it to the dev theme. That's exactly what we want. The exception to this is telemetry, which is very verbose and should not go to files unless opted in explicitly by the user. So channel values is channel Yep. And it's not happy about Oh. Yes, I'm okay with this. Cool. All right, now we have a feature. Let's make a commit with this. What did I type? Yes. Cool. And I think this is where we are going to be stopping. We are going to send this as a PR, and then this can go to review. All right. Oh. All right. So here's the PR, and unfortunately, it's been more than 2 hours. So that idea to leverage this work in order to do this small project, the first query, will not fit in the live stream for today. It's a bit too much work for one go, and it would be time for me to take another break anyway. And so that is going to be, well, I need to take a break. That's what it is. And after the break, in order to do this, we probably would need 1 more hour, and it's going to be a very long live stream. So let's do that just next time. And maybe it's going to be done already. We'll see. Anyway, so thank you for tuning in. Thank you for accompanying this work. And stay tuned on what will happen with this work in the future. And if you have any comments or questions, I will take them either on the Twitch channel or on the YouTube channel. Thank you. Have a very good day. Goodbye.